Is your single biggest budget item, and for a lot of you, that's going to be your tech spend, is it actually building your biggest competitive advantage, or is that money just quietly leaking away?
It's so easy to fall into what's called the capital allocation trap. See, most companies do one of two things. Either they treat all IT as just a cost to be minimized at all costs, which starves the really critical areas, or they get shiny object syndrome and they pour tons of money into these sexy projects that feel super innovative, but in reality do absolutely nothing to build a real lasting competitive moat. To make this really hit home, let me tell you a quick story. There was this regional retailer, and they were incredibly proud of their inventory system. I mean, it was this marvel of internal engineering, truly best in class, and it was the thing everyone inside the company pointed to as a huge success. But here's the kicker. While they were busy perfecting their back office stuff, their actual e-commerce experience, the thing customers had to deal with every single day, was just notoriously clunky. It was slow, it was frustrating, and it was miles behind the competition. They were pouring millions into a capability that, at the end of the day, didn't matter one bit to their customers. As one of their own execs put it later, they were polishing a brass plaque on a sinking ship. And this framework we're about to walk through, this is what pulled them back from the brink. Okay, so that's the problem. And that mess is exactly why the Competitive Parity Compass was created. It's a really simple visual tool, and it's designed to force a candid, deeply strategic conversation about where your business actually needs to win. The compass is built on two simple axes. The first one, the vertical one, is all about strategic importance. This forces you to separate your capabilities into three buckets. First, you've got core. These are the things that differentiate you. They are the reason customers pick you over anybody else. Then there's necessity. These are just table stakes. You have to have them to even be in the game. And finally, support capabilities. Think basic things like HR or finance systems. The key takeaway here is that not all capabilities are created equal, not by a long shot. Now, the second axis, the horizontal one, this is where the brutal honesty comes in. This is your relative position. Are you genuinely weaker than your competitors, about equal, or are you truly stronger? And this can't be based on internal pride or what you think is true. This has to be about market reality. You need external benchmarks, you need real customer feedback to get this right. Okay, so when you smash those two axes together, you get this, a strategic map with 4 very distinct quadrants. And here's the magic. Each one of these quadrants dictates a completely different investment strategy. This moves you from just asking, hey, what are we spending, to the much better question, are we actually investing to win? All right, so we've got the map. Now we need the playbook. Let's decode these 4 quadrants, because knowing where you are on this map tells you exactly what you need to do next. First up, and without a doubt the most important, is the danger zone. This is where capability is core to your business. It's supposed to be why customers choose you, but you are also weaker than your competition. This isn't just a red flag, this is a 5-alarm fire. This is your number 1 vulnerability, a genuine existential threat. If you find yourself here, it requires immediate, massive, focused investment. Your only goal is to pour in the resources to get this capability out of this zone and all the way over to the right as fast as possible. Now, the polar opposite of that is the investment frontier. This is the promised land. This is where your core capability is also stronger than anyone else in the market. This is your competitive advantage. This is exactly where you want to be, right? But your job here isn't to relax, it's to double down. You have to nurture this advantage, invest heavily to push your lead even further. This is where your absolute best people, your A-team, and a huge chunk of your budget should be focused. Okay, so what about the other 2 zones, the catch-up zone and the cost-effective zone? Think of these as your parity quadrants. They're important for sure, but in a very, very different way. Here the goal is not to be the best. For capabilities that are just a necessity, or for basic support functions, you just want to be good enough. That's it. Invest just enough to reach parity with everyone else, and then your only job is to optimize for cost. This is where you absolutely should not be over-investing your precious capital or your best talent. In fact, these are the prime candidates for outsourcing or just buying a best-of-breed SaaS solution off the shelf. So, you've got the map, but so what? How do you actually turn this whole analysis into a real investment roadmap for the next 2 or 3 years? Well, here's your 3-step playbook. It's pretty simple. First, get your business leaders in a room and map where all your current capabilities are right now. That's your existing state.
Second, for every single one of those capabilities, you plot where it needs to be in 2 or 3 years for you to win. That's your required state. And the gap, that vector between where you are and where you need to be, that is your strategic action plan. It tells you exactly where to invest, where to maintain, and where to divest.
And this brings us to accountability. Here's the non-obvious metric you absolutely have to start tracking. What percentage of our budget, and maybe even more importantly, our top talent, is actually allocated to the investment frontier and the danger zone? If that number isn't significant, well, then your resources are simply not aligned with your strategy, period.
We always like to end these with a concrete action you can take. So, what can you actually do on Monday morning to get the ball rolling on this?
Look, don't try to boil the ocean here. Just start the conversation. Schedule one single 90-minute meeting with your leadership team. And the only topic on the agenda is answering one question. What are the 3 to 5 capabilities that are truly core to why our customers choose us over the other guy? Your only goal is to get a first, honest plot on that vertical y-axis. I promise you that single conversation will spark the clarity you've been looking for.
Ultimately, this compass isn't just a chart. It's a tool that's designed to force uncomfortable but absolutely necessary conversations. And so that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Which conversation does this compass force you to have?